Radio Row. Tom Grossi, Green Bay Packers fan with us. He is up for NFL Fan of the Year. So how does this all go? How you register? You send a what do you? How did you
carrier
get
pigeon? Yeah, we send that out. No, so I gotta be honest with you. I think this has been going on since 2012 that they've been giving out the award, and there's basically 32 nominees, one from each fan base, and I heard about it during 30 and 30 that fans were just starting to bring it up, and I was like, oh, I don't even know what that is. And a bunch of fans wound up nominating me, and so that's when I found out, and I got the call from the Packers in November that I was their representative.
What did you do when they called you?
There might have been a tier or two. You
Really?
know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that I'm from New York, and I've been a Packers fan since I was 6. And so there was always that distance between me and the Packers. You know, I go to Lambeau, I go to Green Bay every single year. But for like that 6-year-old kid who has loved this team from afar for so long, and now to be like the representative of the team that like I love football, and at most I love the Packers.
Right.
So like to just be able to like get that recognition, which is not why you do this, you know, and it was completely unexpected, was pretty incredible.
All right, if 6-year-old you was to want to meet their favorite player, who would it have been?
I mean, back in the day, it was Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a little controversial now, but yeah, back in the day,
your voice
it was.
just shook when you said his name.
Yeah, because like I was talking about this man, you know, like that was my childhood quarterback. I mean, I think he got so many people into the game. The way he played, you know, it's just like it looked like he was going out and having fun, playing backyard football. Didn't know like what nickel defense was for the longest time, and I was like, I don't either. And it was just, it was an incredible thing. And then you know, over the years, the Packers have been blessed to just have some like amazing people that do community work and charity work and just really represent the team in the best way possible.
What do you get if you're going to learn tomorrow night?
Yeah,
The
Live.
NFL honors and So how many other 32 fans?
Yeah.
Has it been a semifinal cut list like the Hall of Fame? Or
So there was 32, right? And they opened fan voting, so that was like 10% of the vote. And I think we did pretty well there. But then on top of that, there's like a committee that like does like a whole bunch of stuff because it's sponsored and all that, and they ultimately make the decision. So yeah, I'll find out tomorrow night as I'm sitting there at the NFL honors.
That's awesome. And being at that event, what happens if what do you get?
So I get a trophy, I've heard, but I also heard that I present an award.
No kidding.
Yeah, so like I don't know what it is. Like last year, the Seahawks fan who won did like comeback player of the year because it was Geno Smith. The year before that was coach of the year. So yeah, that seems like that's what that's going to be if that comes to pass.
Wow. Oh, okay. So I'm a Cowboys fan.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're not though.
I'm not.
You're not, but you're not. I will tell you, and I've covered them for years. The most, like I've had to reserve myself in the press box was 2016, Aaron Rodgers threw the best pass I've ever seen in my life to Jared Cook. And I'm watching it happen in the stadium thinking, he has this much of a window to throw it into, and he did it. So now my reaction, like, and everybody's sitting there was just like, oh. You know, like that's
not supposed to have emotion in the press box.
But
gotta be quiet.
It was quiet.
Not in that
but
one.
But it was still like
an internal rage.
You could tell everybody's like, oh, because you think you're going to get to do another game and all this stuff.
Sure.
And then Aaron Rodgers comes and just daggers it. What was your feeling during that moment?
Yeah, I mean that year was so special because that was the run the table year.
Yeah.
And like this is an aside that has to do with that year. The Packers weren't good, like for a while. Like they were on a losing streak. It wasn't looking good. And it was the Eagles game where they turned it around. And at that point, this was 2016. I had just started the podcast like maybe a year prior because I started in 2015. And I put a Packers jersey on my dog. Right, this was going somewhere, I promise. And I posted it, and I was like, maybe she could turn things around. Because I think as sports fans, there's always that internal like superstition that's there, right? There is.
Yeah, either you put something on or you take something off.
Exactly, right? And if it doesn't work that week, then you got to change it up the next week, you know, all that great stuff. And so I put it on there, and they won. And then they kept winning. And so my dog became more famous than I have ever become because like they kept winning. Like people were bringing signs of my dog in the jersey. And so to Dallas, you know, that was one of those games where, you know, they're the best team in the league. You know, they got Zeke, they got Dak, you know, they're having an incredible year. And my dad is a diehard Cowboys fan. Diehard Cowboys fan.
Are you in his will?
I don't. Maybe not anymore.
Yeah,
But that's
don't bring up the will. I mean,
no. That's actually how I became a Packers fan. Because when I was 6 years old, I went into school, and my dad, a diehard Cowboys fan, trying to raise me as such. I heard the Packers beat the Cowboys like 45-17, and I went home and I'm like, I'm a Packers fan now, and he laughed it off. And then I just did that for 27 years. So I don't know if I'm in the will anymore. It might be that might be over.
Don't send him this segment.
No,
because it might kick something in. Like, oh my God! Yeah, we got to take him out of the will.
Him and I went to the Des no catch game.
Oh no, that was a catch, but
yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was ruled incomplete.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, it was confirmed to be. It was incomplete as far as I know.
One of us was very unhappy in the car ride home, and it wasn't me. So, but to your point about the Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that became the usual. You know, in that year, especially that run the table year, like that was all Aaron Rodgers, man, because the defense wasn't good, the offense was on fire, and that was just one of the best QBs in the world doing what he does best, and it was just incredible.
What about Jordan Love this year at Dallas or in Arlington? It's just what happens.
I'm so sorry. Because to be fair, the 49ers are to us what we are to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
like that's what it is. And I know
right.
we don't like the 49ers either.
Yeah.
So go Chiefs. So I think at this point, you know, Jordan Love is such an unknown, and it was kind of a free year because either it works out, cool, or it doesn't. And like it was very ebbs and flows. All we got into the playoffs. You know, we won that Week 18 game against the Bears, and going up against Dallas, you know, 7 seed never won. It was like it's house money. You know, whatever happens, I just hope they're competitive and they look good. And yeah, they look pretty good.
Yeah, look, there are two quarterbacks in that game. One of them looked like they were confident and loose and happy to be there, and the other one looked like the burden of almost 30 years was on his shoulders. And Jordan Love, like you said, was just out there gripping and ripping.
And he threw it, and some of the motions and mannerisms looked like somebody else right before him. That was what I was like, damn.
I try to tell that to people because now there's this shift. Because before the season, everyone's like, oh, Jordan Love's going to be awful because there's no way that the Packers are going to get 3 good quarterbacks in a row, right? There's no shot. And I think there's just something to be said about letting a QB sit. And you talk about the pressure that Dak Prescott's underneath. I mean, you're talking about a window where they've kind of gone all in. I know Jerry Jones is like, we'll go all in this year, I promise. But that's where the Packers were for 2020 and 2021. They're the number 1 seed, back-to-back years, and they fell short. You know, and when you do that, like the amount of pressure, it was just so nice to just be a fan this year with no expectations of like, hey, we win some games, like awesome. Like you just got to enjoy it because when Aaron Rodgers is your QB, you're expecting Super Bowl.
My oldest brother, Robert, is a huge lifelong Packers fan. Got mad when Favre left. He kind of like looked elsewhere. But the Bart Starrs, and I'm old enough to remember that. You guys aren't. I mean, you remember the history of it, but the Bart Starrs and the Jerry Kramers and all that. That's what I think of Lombardi, et cetera.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they've had this run. They've had this separate runs. And that's one thing missing with the Cowboys. They had Landry, Jimmy, and then it's been like flirtation ever since that time.
And it's like, even with Tony Romo, right? Like, there was like, okay, he could be the guy. Like, he could do that. We could put a squad around him. He's talented enough. They can go win some games. And, you know, whether it's like botched extra points or like, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, it just seemed like there was always something that got in the way or they ran into the wrong team.
Put that a little bit closer to you, dropped a little bit. Just want to make sure we can hear you so your dad takes you out of the will. So do you sleep tonight? Are you relaxed? Are you set for this? Is there a little anxiety?
I got to be honest, man. Like, this is my first Super Bowl. This is my first Radio Row. I've been in this business for 9 years now. I was a full-time high school social studies teacher while I was building this out. And just to be able to experience this, you know, with other people in this industry, it's incredible. And it's like all walks of life. It's digital, you know, it's written, it's everything. And so, yeah, no, there's not even any nerves. It's just like I'm just so grateful to be
journey.
Here. Yeah, and you know, as you guys know, like just being in this business, there's very few times where you can stop and kind of reflect and be like, wow, because it's usually like next thing.
Absolutely.
You know, like I'm attending the Super Bowl on Sunday and I'm hopping on the red eye so I can get back to work on Monday. Like that's just what's going to happen. But while I'm here, I'm just kind of trying to take it all in. And
I want to get into one more thing. First of all, Tom Grossi with us. You've raised how much money?
So the last 3 years, we've raised $720,000 for various charities. St. Jude last year was about $512,000.
That's awesome,
in 30
man.
days.
Good for you.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
And
that's
a lot about the community of the Packers fandom, too.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, too, because like it started with just Packers, but now we kind of cover the entire NFL, obviously with still a focus on the Packers. But it was one of those things that even when I was a teacher, if I ever got a platform, I think it's like your duty to give back, right? Because like it's an insane world that we live in. It's an insane industry. There's lots of stuff going on. And I was like, if you can get, the following of people, give back to, the people, that's actually, you're going to see it in the community. And that's what we try to do.
Good luck tomorrow, man.
I appreciate
That's
you.
all. And now, otherwise I would watch it. Oh, golly, there's a guy who's a Bengals fan. And now we have our favorite.
Yeah.
You're our guy. So good luck to you, man.
I appreciate you.
All right, now, what's the name of the podcast? Just so
Yeah.
Yeah,
people
so
who
you can look
don't-
at it's Packcast, but it's Tom Grossi on YouTube. That's
Yeah,
it.
good deal.
Grossi, by the way, up for NFL Fan of the Year and joined us here in Vegas on Radio Row in Vegas on 365 Sports.